Okay, let's jump right into this explainer by immediately addressing one of the most explosive, just absolutely unforgettable moments in modern football history. We're going to look at a man who defined an entire era of the beautiful game. But to truly understand him, we actually have to start at the exact moment he seemingly lost his mind.
There were 2, 3, or 4 players who were weak like an empty bottle. Struns has been here 2 years, had played 10 games, is always injured. How dare Struns? I mean, just picture this, okay? It's March 1998. Giovanni Trapattoni is in this bright red Bayern Munich training top, and he's furiously jabbing his finger, literally pounding his fists at a room of completely stunned German journalists. His team was trailing Kaiserslautern in the title race, and he was passionately and aggressively defending his decision to drop his underperforming superstars Mehmet Scholl and Mario Basler. Now, his German was pretty broken, but let me tell you, his absolute fury? That was universally understood.
So, it begs the question, right? How does a guy who spectacularly unravels in front of the world's media engineer the most disciplined, perfectly calculated, cold-blooded defensive systems the sport has ever seen? To figure that out, we're going to flash back from this legendary tirade in Germany all the way to the 1970s to uncover how this very same uncompromising passion built European football's ultimate tactical system.
Section 1. The birth of Zona Mista, a tactical evolution. Let's rewind to a time when Italian football was facing a massive existential crisis.
See, for years, Italian football was completely dominated by Catenaccio. It was this highly rigid, incredibly defensive system based on strict man-to-man marking, plus a sweeping defender whose whole job was just to clean up the mess. But by the 1970s, Catenaccio was essentially dead. The fluid, position-swapping total football being played by Dutch teams like Ajax was pulling rigid Italian man markers completely out of position. It was a disaster for them. Italian coaches like Luigi Radice at Torino and a young Giovanni Trapattoni realized they had to adapt or die. And their solution? The Zona Mista, or the mixed zone. Zona Mista basically became the ultimate bridge between two completely opposing philosophies. It took the intelligent spatial coverage of Dutch total football and mixed it with the gritty, man-marking resilience of Italian Catenaccio. They called it Il gioco all'italiana, the Italian game. It wasn't about completely abandoning the defensive roots that made Italy so great, it was more about modernizing them to handle really dynamic, modern attackers.
Let's break down the highly specialized moving parts that made this hybrid system tick. It's like a giant puzzle. You've got your central stoppers holding down the middle, while your fullbacks aggressively man-mark the opposing wingers to force the play inside. Behind all of them sits the libero, a modern sweeper providing zonal coverage to intercept anything that happens to slip through. But the real magic happened further up the pitch. The midfield featured dedicated man markers to neutralize the opponent's most creative players, sitting right alongside a deep-lying regista to distribute the ball. Then, you add an advanced playmaker given total freedom to roam and exploit space. Players basically stuck to their primary zones, but they were actually allowed to dynamically shift and interchange just as long as a teammate instantly covered the space they left behind. But the true genius was in the execution. See, Trapattoni's system was absolutely not about dominating possession. Zona Mista was designed to efficiently soak up immense pressure, using that compact backline, win the ball back in the midfield through super aggressive marking, and then just strike with lethal direct precision. It was basically tactical rope-a-dope.
All right, moving into Section 2, the Juventus Golden Decade and Tactical Dominance. We're heading to Turin, where Trapattoni took all this theory and turned it into cold, hard silverware.
When Trapattoni arrived at Juventus in 1976, the club had just been dumped out of Europe and beaten to the league title by their bitter rivals Torino. Well, Trapattoni transformed them into an absolute juggernaut. I mean, he won the UEFA Cup almost immediately in 1977. But his defining trait was his ruthless adaptability. In 1982, even though they had just won the league, he boldly sacrificed the tough, fan-favorite Irish midfielder Liam Brady. Trapattoni believed he couldn't overload his team with too many flair players, so he made the really tough call to bring in Michel Platini and Zbigniew Bonik instead. And honestly, it was a masterstroke. It evolved the team's attacking edge and ultimately led them to the absolute pinnacle of European football in 1985.
Now, Trapattoni obsessed over microscopic details. His success definitely wasn't just about grand, sweeping tactics. He dedicated at least one training session every single week purely to post-performance analysis. And during one of these, he noticed a tiny, tiny habit. Opponents instinctively jumped when defending free kicks. So what does he do? He tells his new star, Michel Platini, to start hitting his free kicks low, straight under the jumping wall. It's exactly this week-by-week dedication to exploiting the tiniest vulnerabilities that made his team so incredibly dangerous.
Section 3 enters record breakers in the 1988 to 1989 season. Because Trapattoni, he wasn't a one-club wonder.
After his golden decade at Juventus, he set out to prove his system could be replicated. And you have to understand the sheer level of competition in the late 1980s. Serie A was, without a doubt, the toughest league in the world. To win it, you had to overcome Napoli, who were led by arguably the greatest player ever, Diego Maradona, and you also had to beat AC Milan, who were completely revolutionizing the sport with Arrigo Sacchi's legendary high-pressing system. Yet, in that 1988 to 1989 season, Trapattoni's Inter Milan absolutely crushed them all. They finished with both the best defense and the best attack in the entire league.
Just listen to this number, 5. Inter Milan won the Scudetto with a massive 5 games to spare. In an era where every single point in Italy was violently fought over, wrapping up the title that early is just a profound testament to the undeniable, suffocating efficiency of Trapattoni's methods.
So how did he achieve this dominance? Well, he tweaked his Zona Mista into this highly asymmetrical 4-3-3. He didn't force his players into a rigid system, he actually adapted the system to fit their unique talents. He gave his libero, Mandorlini, the freedom to actually dribble forward and help build the play. Out on the left, he deployed Andy Brema as an advanced wingback. And because Brema was remarkably ambidextrous, defenders literally never knew which foot he was going to use to cross the ball. The ultimate beneficiary of all this unpredictable service was their striker, Aldo Serena, who claimed the top scorer title, completely fueled by the relentless midfield engine of Lothar Matthäus and Nicola Berti.
Which brings us to Section 4, a legacy of adaptability and why he was a true serial winner.
10. That is the total number of league titles he won across 4 completely different countries: Italy, Germany, Austria, and Portugal. This is the overarching theme of his incredible career. Even when his first stint at Bayern Munich ended poorly because of a massive language barrier, he didn't quit. He returned for a second stint, armed with a much better understanding of the culture, and went on to win both the Bundesliga and the German Cup.
And that brings us full circle to this core philosophy. A fully fit and mentally prepared fringe player is more useful than a beleaguered superstar showing erratic form. Suddenly, that infamous, explosive Bayern Munich press conference we talked about earlier, it makes perfect sense. His rant wasn't madness. It was just the boiling over of his unbreakable commitment to the team structure. In Trapattoni's world, absolutely no individual ego, no matter how famous or talented they were, was allowed to compromise the structural integrity of the collective system. Basically, if you didn't run and if you didn't cover your zone, you were out.
Today, the football world is completely obsessed with holding 70% possession and running these high-pressing systems that leave teams incredibly exposed at the back. We marvel at high-scoring games, sure, but we also see a lot of chaotic, disorganized defending. So I'll leave you with this to think about. As we watch teams desperately struggle to hold on the leads week in and week out, has modern football forgotten the art of the perfect defense? Is the defensive mastery, the adaptability, and the ruthless, cold-blooded efficiency of Trapattoni's Zona Mista exactly what today's game is missing?